So while we saw bidirectional RNN, we saw LSTM and GRU variant of LSTM is the primary workhorse where we are able to capture a notion of memory and being able to capture memory in the network to be able to carry out any meaningful long-term dependency and being able to predict. There have been in the recent past more deeper RNNs which have been proposed. So what these do is they actually stack multiple hidden layers between the output and the input layer. Each again node could be again, as I said, a RNN node, or it could be an LSTM node, or it could be a GRU node. But also each layer could again be bidirectional. So depending upon the level of memory that is required, depending upon the level of dependency to be carried out, we may decide on either typically using a single layer LSTM, or we may decide to use multi-layer LSTMs, typically depending upon the complexity of the dependency of the memory. So to give an example, if we look at the NLP problem of word prediction in a sentence, it is very similar to the examples which we saw today, which is as we speak, depending upon slightly previous context, you may guess the future word. On the other hand, if you have much simpler things like, say, predicting a sequence, we'll show an example of predicting a sequence. We'll also show an example of predicting a word sequence. We will typically see that the number of layers will be depending upon how much range of dependency you're looking at. For example, if you're talking about creating, say, a translation engine between one paragraph of, say, English language to something like, say, one paragraph of say, French language. There, the dependency need not be only between words to words. It may be between different parts of the discourse or paragraph, which may span multiple sentences. And there, it makes sense to look at the context of capturing dependencies across multiple sentences by means of having a multi-layered LSTM. Again, what is the golden rule to decide how many layers of LSTM, how many nodes of LSTM? This is again a hyperparameter which is chosen to depending upon the context which you're working with. And it is important for the data scientist to understand that LSTM nodes are very time and compute intensive nodes, because as you've seen, they not only capture forward and backward propagation, but they also have to capture the intermittent gating computations, which are quite involved, and each node talks about 4 different layers. So you can think about the complexity of computation. So given that, you have to be very frugal with respect to number of layers for LSTM or number of nodes for LSTM that need to be carried out for your target application. So with that, I've given you a breadth-first view of the general landscape of recurrent networks, the problems with default architecture of RNNs, and why they need to be subverted to such complex architecture like LSTM, where you have to resort to gating phenomena to retain memory. You need to understand that the fine workhorse, which was the gradient descent based backpropagation, which was the crux of feed-forward networks fails miserably here, leading us to evolve a really complex architecture like LSTM or GRU. And it has turned out to be the saving grace for all these recurrent neural network